wear a hat. Huh? I don't wear a hat. Anybody want a hat? Carol. Yeah, I do.
Because I'm not seeing screen now, I'm seeing room, I'm seeing room.
Oh, yeah.
Should be seeing that. So it went somewhere.
Do you see it on your screen now?
No,
I'll have to zoom in now.
it's not right.
She said she can't zoom, you can't see it on the Zoom.
You should be able to see that, and all we see is people. That's when I know it's not right. How you doing today, sir?
It started from the house and it walked in.
You got it now. You're back.
All right, time for the 3 o'clock session. This is completing the project report from appraisal perspective. Our presenters are Eric Monhollon. Eric began his KYTC career with the right-of-way division in 1996 at the District 5 office in Louisville as an appraiser and acquisition agent. He was promoted to appraisal branch manager in 2007. Eric is a graduate of Bellarmine University with a BA in accounting. He and his wife Pam live with their daughter Tabitha in Louisville. Also on the panel is Roger Crew. Get out of the way so you can see Roger. Roger is a right-of-way program specialist too with the Division of Right-of-Way and Utilities Appraisal Branch. Roger is a 2005 graduate from WKU, Go Tops, with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Management. He began his career with KYTC in 2007 as a right-of-way agent 1 in District 4 E-Town. Roger accepted his current position as a program specialist 2 in 2017 with a primary responsibility of appraisal review. He resides in Elizabethtown with his wife, Rosie, and 2 children, Kendall and Carson. Joe Justice. Joe is a graduate of Pikeville College with the BBA in management. He began his career with the Division of Right-of-Way in 1997 at the District 3 Bowling Green office as an appraiser. He transferred to the District 12 office in Pikeville in 1998. Joe became a review appraiser in 2003 and accepted his current position as a right-of-way program specialist 2 in 2013 with the primary responsibility of appraisal review in districts 10, 11, and 12. Joe lives in Pikeville with his wife Lisa and 2 children, Dalton and Bailey Joe. Last but not least is Keith McDonald. Has anything changed since that last bio already?
I've lost a couple of hairs.
Very good. All right, with that being said, I'll turn the floor over to Eric.
All right, can everybody hear me in the back?
It's not.
There we go. Now can everybody hear me? All right, good. When we started thinking about this presentation, it was gonna all be about appraising, and it's kind of because the project report is not used for just the appraisers anymore. It's kind of evolved into more of appraisal relocation, some acquisition presentation. But you know, I was looking before this presentation, I was looking at the appraisal guidelines, and it still basically says that it's an appraisal function and it's an appraisal document, and we probably need to go and change that in the next revision of the project report or the appraisal guidelines. If you're looking at the appraisal report up here, you know, it's got the standard information that they all have. We go down to the project summary, and that's where you really get more of the information that you need: the number of parcels, the number of vacant and improved parcels, the residential relocations, the non-residential, and then after that we put everything in categories: the major category, the minor category, which is also an appraisal function. And then the MAR category. The next section is the project description, and I'll let Joe speak a little bit on that.
The project description is just what it says it is. It's a description of the project. And you need to put as much detail in this as possible. This is what the people reading the report go by. You give a description of the project. If there's any landmarks related to the project, list those so the person can find it when they go out. It's hard to find a project by station numbers. Those aren't posted on signs. So need a description of where it's at. You also give the complexity of the project, the type of parcels that's going to be affected, such as commercial, residential, whatever, and how they're going to be affected by the project. Include any things that you might things would be needed for the project, any type of studies, any type of damages that could be affected if the appraiser needs to develop a proximity study, landlocked, seeing those different things that this is where you would notify the appraiser or whoever's on the board that those things are needed. If there's any septic issues or you anticipate any, you need to identify that here too. Also, if any signs have been acquired, need to put a statement in here that the appraiser is responsible to get any and all sign estimates. It's their responsibility. And any problems you think may come up, some of the more rural areas, it could be difficult to get the information needed there. So it might be necessary to go beyond the project area to get information. And if you know that ahead of time, put that here. If you're working in a more metropolitan city, Louisville, Lexington, program will be readily available and to state that there also. I think that covers most of the.
All right, so they've covered, the first page of it, the first three sections, and so I'm gonna kind of get into the next, kind of, I guess, the meat of the project before we go through parcels. We're driving. Should let you drive.
Feel like Jim.
All right, we have like 86 parcels on this project. I was gonna go through all of them, but this has been cut down, so I can't do that now. But first, we'll just run through all the columns first. I know we've got some newer agents and they've never seen this, maybe some folks that aren't working right away. So it's pretty self-explanatory. As we start through here, of course, our parcel number, type of property. So you see the two that are shown as special purpose, commercial property, residential, ag, kind of tell us what it is here. How many tracks in the report, how many tracks in the remainders, the number of remainders. Then we got either vacant or improved. So this first one's an improved property. Is it a partial or a total acquisition? The track size before, the right of way acquired, and type and size of easements. I'll come back to the remarks as you want to go through a few of those, but the remarks, I think kind of condensed sheet 10, I guess. We're kind of telling the story of the parcel, maybe not quite getting that much detail, because you're not going to have that much at this stage. And then our complexity rating. So this one's showing a VAV, which would be a before and after value. We could have a BV, so that's just going to be a before value, meaning it's a total acquisition, not take total acquisition, BV, or the MAR we're going for too. From there, when we have a VAV and BV, we can break those down a little more on whether it's a minor or major complexity. And that too, I'll get into in just a minute. And then our format 6220 is going to be our form report, probably what most people have seen in crowds, where you have a narrative option. The last part is what the proposed fee is going to be. And I may let Eric go back and talk on that in just a minute, but we generally don't have those filled out right there early on.
You're talking about the proposed fee?
Yeah, like when an appraiser fills one out.
No, we, in general now with moving to professional services, we don't generally use this for the proposed fee. Professional services has their own forms and everything that the contractor needs to fill out to do that. So it goes beyond just the project report anymore.
Thanks, Eric. I don't want to just read from this, but I don't know how well you can see it. So I'm going to go ahead and read the remarks on this parcel 7. This was that special purpose. Special purpose in this case is a school campus. That could be a church. It could be a park, something that was designed with a very specific use. And really doesn't have much utility outside of what it was designed and built to be used for. In this case, it's talking about all the facilities there. That's got 3 schools or Board of Education building, sports complex. It's also got it's the same one. Yeah, the fire department, excuse me, I didn't see there yet. So the Moorhead Fire Department building's also on this. And then about halfway through it starts talking about, we got special land improvements being acquired, signs, concrete parking bumpers, and then temporary loss of 24 marked parking spaces in front of the Board of Ed, and another 5 temporary loss spaces in front of the Moorhead Fire Department building. So as I mentioned, we have, a minor and major as far as our complexity rating. Minor is going to be something I think more like MAR in the sense that maybe it's just above the threshold to qualify as an MAR, but it's not a real complex or significant impact. Major is going to be, your proximity damages, severance damages, principal buildings acquired, that kind of stuff. So I don't have any more info on this than what you all have seen right now. I've not actually seen this project, seen the property, seen the plans. Who would consider this one? Raise your hand if you think it's a minor complexity. It's got temporary parking that's lost. Who thinks it's major? We'll find out who doesn't really care. All right. And so, it was already shown at the BABs when there was an appraisal, which I agree with. I would also probably agree with the major because we've identified the loss of the parking spaces, but don't really know yet how that impacts the use of the entire facility. Maybe it's going to be a turn lane project and they're going to take some parking, although the Board of Ed may be open during that time. Maybe they're going to do all the construction in the summertime. They can park elsewhere. Maybe it's not a major damage or anything like that, even though there may be some loss, or maybe it could be cured pretty easily with some additional parking somewhere. So this one, I guess if anybody has comments why they think it definitely should be major, should be minor. I showed this one because I felt like it's obviously appraisal, but depending on, how discussion goes and how, looking closer at the plans, maybe during scoping meeting, we decide, the impacts are relatively minor here.
Roger, I would also stress on a property like this one that has so many improvements that are far removed from, excuse me, far removed from any actual acquisition itself, like the 3 school buildings, the sports complex, and all the bus garage and all of that the appraiser could probably go ahead and estimate the value of those improvements instead of really going on a full-blown appraisal of this property. And I think Will would agree with me on that there wouldn't really be much need to do a full-blown appraisal on those improvements.
Now, you all want to show if it's major or minor. Then, or do you want us to show?
Yeah, I want to see that. We didn't have it up here on this one.
Yeah, I don't think it really shows on this one, Will, but if it's a minor appraisal, you can put minor BAV in that column, and that should take care of it.
And from a consultant standpoint, that's usually what we will do with our project report is we figure it's a minor. Till Dean and Kelly say no, it's not a major, it's a minor. We'll switch them around, but usually we try to know a little bit more. And especially if it's a border, I'm sorry. Especially if it's a borderline MAR, that we're making sure that we're getting an appraisal on it because of values and everything. I jumped in front of Roger and I apologize. For the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, be quiet.
I also want to emphasize this was done by an appraiser. The appraiser also put the zoning in, well, it says it's not zoned, but the zoning was considered in these remarks. And if you look at the appraisal guidelines, one of the suggestions in there to include the zoning if there is zoning in these cases.
All right, I'm just gonna look at one more description here. Hopefully we're starting to get the idea of, what needs to be in here and why. This parcel 10, you can't see the number. It looks like several of these have similar impacts, but the property's improved with 1 single family residence, 1 single wide, 3 storage buildings, not zoned. Portion of the gravel drive will be acquired, possible proximity damages. So as I mentioned to you, that's into a major category there. Obviously it's going to be a BAB and I think as Eric already talked about, estimating that the buildings, that on the school example, maybe the fire department's impacted, maybe the, Board of Education building, but certainly not the entire campus. This one, all these, aspects of this, add value to the site as a whole and are all possibly impacted by this proximity. So obviously we got a major here. So as far as, the purpose, the need, kind of why we do a project report, Eric kind of talked about the origins of it. I think others could probably add several reasons why we need to do it. Maybe consultants have to do it, but a couple of points that I wanted to make on it, and then others can, kind of add to the value of doing a project report. And we talked about complexity and format. Even though we don't put the fees on there, that's a big factor that goes into determining those fees. So whenever we're going, we can say it's an appraisal, but until we know the complexity of it, it's kind of helpful to really have a detailed project report so that it can be used in determining fees on the project. I was thinking about this. Eric talked about the topic. How can I make this interesting? How can I make project reports entertaining? Figured out I couldn't, so I was like, I'll just find a video that I think's entertaining and play something for you. And then I might try to tie this into project reports. It's kind of going to be a stretch, but here we go.
We get in fights, still. And when you're married for a long time, fighting it can happen. It's open 24 hours, basically, at any time. We got to fight recently at 3 a.m. We woke up to get this fight. We have a dog, and our dog freaks out when it thunders. And so we have sedatives to give her because there's only so many times you can tell a dog it's just thunder before you let you stop getting it, And just take this, all right? So I woke up, had to wake my wife up, and I was like, hey, where are the sedatives at? And she was like, at the top of the cabinet. So I go get them. I looked at the bottle, and the bottle said they were expired. So I had to wake my wife up. I was like, hey, these say they're expired. And she was like, annoyed. She's like, they're not expired, all right? The new pills in the old pill bottle. I was like, all right, I should have thought of that. That's my fault. I mean, we have people come to our house all the time and they get milk and like, is this milk expired? And I have to go, that's new milk in an old milk chute. Are you the stupidest person I've ever met? Why would you not assume that's what it is? That's roughly what I told her. It wasn't as fun as that, but then she goes all in and tells me it doesn't matter if the dog medicine can't even expire. Which I was like, you've never even heard a rumor about that. You don't know that. We don't know any dog medicine people. I know who she knows. We don't know one dog medicine maker that's texting her like, hey, we're doing some pretty big things at the dog medicine factory. I wanted to let you know first, but we've invented medicine that can't expire. So feel free to tell your husband at 3 a.m. All right.
So again, not really relevant at all, but just thought it might provide a little drink and a little entertainment. Maybe a bit of a stretch, but if nothing else, there's some communication issues there. And my last point about, the benefit of using this is as we go into scoping meetings and the consultant and or appraisers have developed a project report and the district has also done one, then we can really scope the project with all parties being very informed. We talk a lot about, communication is key, and it is, but to be meaningful, everybody needs to know their project and know their parcel. So if we may, we get into the project report, and a lot of times the district supervisor, consultant may talk about it, well, I've got a different number of, appraisals, and they always, work out some details, but when we're scoping it, we've got the whole team there. So if we need, some insight from central office to say, yeah, I think, this should be an appraisal or not, and we can do that at scoping when everybody is, really familiar with the project. And one other area of getting familiar with the project as we go into scoping and having really drove the project, look at the plans, we can also identify areas where maybe, we could do some minor plan tweaks, do not disturb on signs, issues that the appraiser can tell the team, this is going to be an issue. And maybe while we got everybody there scoping, utility people, design people, we can make those decisions. So I'm going to turn it back over to Eric for just a minute.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to reiterate about what Roger said was the importance of actually driving the project, confirming you know, the improvements on these properties. I know a lot of us are inclined to just get on Google Maps or Google Earth or something like that and look at an aerial view and a street view and just assume that you know, that's correct at this point, and one of the other things I want to emphasize about doing that is sometimes these plans have been around a while. Properties change, improvements may be there, may not be there. And one of the things I wanted to emphasize with that is on this property right here is parcel 10 that Roger discussed. And it shows that it said that it had a mobile home and a couple of other improvements on there. And you really can't confirm they're there. And you can't confirm it. I didn't put the street view on here, but you can't confirm it from the street view of this either. And scroll up one more, Michael. And I can't see parcel 10 here. You may need to go to the next plan sheet. Yeah, there you are. Right here, you can see all of those improvements, but like I said, I wanted to emphasize that these improvements may or may not be there. Once we get out there and get on the ground. So the appraiser or whoever is doing these project reports needs to get out there and drive the project, look at each parcel closely and be as accurate in these as possible. And also I would also want to emphasize safety. I know when we used to go out and do these things, we used to have somebody drive and somebody else taking notes. So that working in teams is probably the best way to kind of do that. Anybody have any questions or any comments at this point, Mike?
Back at project for defense,
Mm-hmm.
where all those improvements may have been estimated. We're filling out the project report. Do we add a little blurb saying something like that, or is that guiding the appraiser? Should we just let that?
We generally do take care of that at the scoping meeting. That
Should it say it on the project report to kind of give the appraiser a better idea that that would be acceptable?
I don't think so. I think that's something that we should determine when we're at the scoping meeting. One of the other things I wanted to emphasize and we didn't is when the appraiser, the contractor is filling out the project report, don't go into absolutes like there will be proximity damage or there will be damage from you know, whatever situation is. That's really the appraiser's job to you know, you can alert them that there's possible proximity damages or possible loss of parking or any of that, but that's really the appraiser's job to determine if those damages are there or not.
Appraisers to determine if they.
Yes. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Do we have any questions, Vicky?
This one, Keith, Tom? Turn it over to
We're
Keith.
gonna turn it over to Keith so he can talk about the relocation section of the project report.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about, I got the small stuff, hang on. We received notification about this project after the first project report was done, and we went in and did our own project report. I need to thank Miss Mary Beth Johnson in the back. I drove it one time thinking I could view it all by myself. And when you get to the pictures, you'll see why I couldn't see everything, and dodge cars at the same time. We utilize, as the consultants, and I hope I'm speaking correctly for everyone, we utilize the project report as our guidelines to try to set up what we're hoping to accomplish that the cabinet wants us to purchase, and to provide us basically a roadmap that we're taking. Now, I will tell you one thing, the pictures that, or plan sheet that Eric showed that had the trailer and 5 buildings behind the house, I've also run into the situation where that trailer and 5 buildings behind the house is no longer there. It goes both ways from time to time, because these plans were done 3 to 4 years before, or their inspections were done before they got them all drawn up. Switch to the photo. Okay, as everyone's talked about, they want photos for everything that's taking place. Mary Beth and I were driving and taking photos of all these different situations that we ran into. This is a trees that have been cut down. And but it's a lumber yard that we're affecting, so just want to scroll on. And you can see all that is going to be acquired within the acquisition, plus a small building.
About that man.
That man's homeless.
He's there, he's gonna be quiet.
Yeah, this is another portion of the same property that we're doing, and this is all done for the relocation. We've gone in and explained everything in this. This is the school property that we're acquiring a electronic sign from. And go on down. Other sign we're acquiring to relocate, go on. This is the one we had trouble finding. We drove by this house 3 times on the plans. It showed the house. We had to go to the backside of it so we could take pictures of the shed. And then we went to the other side and got the picture of the house. So, and it looks like someone was still staying there from time to time. But it's a refreshed living that everyone gets to go to.
Going green, they're going green.
They're off the grid. Okay, we were on this. And this is another house that we're doing. It's going to be in the acquisition with some of the improvements that are on it. And we've just gone through and taken all the pictures that everyone has requested through the relocation phase and through property management phase. So you've got all these preliminary photos to document what's going to happen if we do get a demolition contract for a project. We've got the preliminary stuff already set up on a lot of this stuff. And this helps when determining the relocation need a little bit easier than just putting on that I've got cars on this lot. We're gonna have to take it. And so you're getting to see, because as they always say, a picture tells. Excuse my French. A picture's worth 1,000 words. I wish I could talk. But just keep on going.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
This would be non-consultant projects. For non-consultant projects, who would be responsible for doing this relocation section of the project? Traditionally, the appraiser has written the project report, but we're not really relocation folks. How's that? What's the intent there I know you guys as consultants do the whole thing, but for a non-consultant project.
Well, I would guess that you would probably want to talk to the relocation people in the district about that. Yeah, the staff people would take care of that part.
Yeah, I mean, usually the district staff has someone that's capable of filling out that part of the project for it. I would venture to say,
You can fill out what's being required, it's a 1.5-story residential house. You know, you don't have to go into the greatest detail, you can assume that, you know, not better rent or whatever. You know, like a shed or something like that. I mean, you praise, you know what's gonna be taken, you know what's personal, what's real. And, you know, you make that station, and then we can go to it. When we get into scoping, we can go through it, dig into it, and it can be revised.
Yeah, the only reason I asked is just because we've not traditionally had to do that before. And I'm just trying to understand, you know, what the expectations.
So from your all standpoint, y'all be putting in the acquiring shed from this parcel. That's gonna. Sure, that's what it's gonna be, yeah, or a house or whatever.
But you wanted a separate from, oftentimes, you know, we'll write that in the description of the
Yeah, it's also.
but you wanna put it
But
back.
you'll also run a 1.5-story house that's not being required in the description. You know, it may have proximity. Or you say it either is required or isn't required. If it is required, it needs to go down as a relocation. Just keep going through the photos. You can see where this is a house that's being acquired that Mary Beth's gonna get to do a relocation on. It's a 1-story. And then we've got several off-premise signs that are being acquired. That we're gonna have to relocate. And more cars. And more cars. And then this is what would you call this, Mary Beth? It was a family complex. Yeah, that's the one we had to drive behind everybody else.
There's several buildings within the proposed acquisition, and they're just all lined up in a row. So when we were back there, I took a picture of everything and, you know. So it's there duly noted.
And we didn't get shocked.
Now, although he did make me get out of the car.
Sometimes it's good to be the boss.
Yeah, we got it.
But this is all from that one parcel. There's the chase car. These are some other properties that we're going through that we're chasing in our field office. They will be. But these are also that could be involved with it depending on it. And Dean, I got your new golf cart there. But you can see all the stuff that you go through and look at that doesn't show up on the plan when you're trying to do it. Like Eric said, if you don't drive the project, you try to do all this by Google Earth, you can't find it. Now, we used Google Earth a couple of times to find out where the hell we were and try how to get to a couple of these houses. But it's very difficult to do this one person wise. And it's a very time consuming very, very time consuming. Have I told you it's very time consuming to get one of these done for? Am I out of numbers? Am I to stop or 5 minutes or what? I got 5 minutes, okay. Like. 5 minutes.
Okay, can I, this one looks like there's a bunch of signs on this project, so make sure when you're filling out this project report to be detailed on the signs. Is it electric? Is it lighted? Is it, you know, a piece of plywood on 2 posts? Whatever it is, be descriptive of it in the project report.
USDs, well, water well.
Yes. There's a house.
That noted on the project report?
That was not one of our parcels to acquire. So I was told by Ms. Shannon Jring, I only had to do the project report on the parcels that we were assigned. Isn't that correct, James? I know. I'll take this later on. But this just goes through and shows all the houses, and Mary Beth did a fine job with all of it.
And Dean brings up a good point. If there is possible USTs, I mean, you can see that it may have been a gas station or something like that. Note that in the project report that there's possible, possible USTs, possible septic issues. Yeah.
You know, the project report is a critical document that we work with, and it's incumbent upon the district to fill this out because we need the project report completed if you're anticipating contracting out the appraisals in order to get someone on board, that this document has to be complete. Whether it's gonna be on the project's gonna be on a statewide rotation, or if it's gonna be an RFP, we have to have the project report so people know what they're bidding on. So, we can't, emphasize that enough, how critical it is for the district to complete this document. I mean, it serves lots of purposes. Yeah, it's very critical stuff.
And I will go back to my old school stuff. When you're out doing these, you will get your pencil out and color in some of the stuff that you're trying to look for. It makes it a lot easier when you drive down the road and just to see stuff. Because I'm old school, I'm an old MF. And I like paper. I don't like the computer with me all the time. So, and that's all I got to say about that. Comment? 1 minute. Okay, Michael. Tell them how happy you are when you get to send shit back to me. I'm very thrilled. Go ahead, Kelly, wrap it up.
All right, is there any questions? There none on the virtual? Okay. All right, we appreciate you very much, and that's it for this session. Thank you. The next section starts at 10 minutes.
Mike, you know, that's I like the video. Yeah. Oh. Shannon, did you hear me outside? Okay.
Consultants, don't forget to sign your sign-in sheet for continuing education. And please fill out your evaluation on the app.
Look at them on paper.
My father's big number.
Oh. You know. That's fine.
Monhollon.
All right, all right, all right. You finally get you some water. You lay on the water. Right. Little corn squeeze would be really good. Hello. All right, we're gonna get started. This is the last session. I know everybody's tickled to death about that. Someone, Mr. Pennick, would you get the door there? Appreciate it. Thank you. No, this is the last session. I want to thank everybody for attending, and I think we've had a good partner conference so far. And this last session, we kind of got, we had different people on the dais up here, but we kind of conned the guy that's getting ready to talk here in a few minutes. We kind of conned him into coming and talk to us. We kind of got together back a couple, 3 weeks ago on the Brent's Bridge. And I think Kelly's going to introduce him, so I'll get to that. But when part of Ohio's kind of is the lead on the Brent's Bridge, and we were working on the what we call the southern section of the project, which consists of about 30 parcels. And we invited them over to come to one of our meetings. We have a regular meeting every week, and then we have a teams meeting every week. Then we have once a month, we have an in-person meeting. We invited him to the in-person meeting, and he brought a bunch of his folks over, and we had a real good meeting and discussing, and we got to talk about the partner conference, and lo and behold, we invited him to the partner conference, and he gladly accepted. But he is from Ohio. I won't get too far into his detail, but he's here to talk about some of the stuff in his state, and we'd like for y'all to ask questions and talk and just a general discussion. I mean, I know Drew, he can talk a lot like me, but we want some back and forth, and just hopefully we all gain some better knowledge of each other's processes and everything.
Like Dean said, we're honored to have Drew Gilmore here. He is the director for the Division of Right-of-Way in Ohio. Drew is the administrator. His official title is administrator of the Office of Real Estate for the Ohio DOT, and has been with ODOT for 15 years. He serves as the vice chair of ASHTO. Cruo?
Yeah.
And is involved with IRWA Chapter 13. Drew is a proud graduate of the Ohio State University with a BA in Communications, big win over Notre Dame, and the University of Cincinnati College of Law. Drew is fluent in Spanish. See? Enjoys running, eating good food with friends, and Buckeye football. He resides in Powell, Ohio with his wife and 2 young daughters. Everyone, Drew Gilmore.